talking about customizing your follow-up workflow. We want to give you some simple setups that will save you time. I think sometimes you might just get in a routine of this is the way that I use follow-up, and you could know some little simple tricks that could make every day a little bit simpler. And Christine, if we had a tracker of who spends the most time in the product, I think you'd be pretty high up there. And you see teams from all different trades, all different parts of the country, all different sizes, use cases. So I know that you're going to screen share with us today and give us some really practical things. If you guys came with a question, you can go ahead and put that in the chat. Or if something gets triggered in your mind as we're going through, again, please put that out there. We love the interactive nature of this. Without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Christine.
Good
Yes.
afternoon. Okay, so I will share my screen here quick. So what I want to go over today is customizing your workflow. Something that I hear all the time is, I know we're not getting the most out of Followup as a company, and I really want to get the most out of Followup. And I want to say that that could be true, but you could also be getting everything you need out of Followup. Sometimes I think the example I like to give is, you bought a car because you need to get to the grocery store, you need to get to work, and you got to get your kids to school. You did not buy your car for the sunroof. Is it nice that it has a sunroof? Absolutely, but you don't need it for the sunroof. So I would like to say that if you're using Followup and you're able to run reports and know what you're bidding, then you are getting exactly what you need to be getting out of Followup. But what I want to help today with is kind of addressing some of these additional features that are available to you. And I'll tell you what plan they're on. If you're not seeing them turned on in your system, we can talk about that and say, hey, well, this is what's included in your package, or hey, you just have to request for us to turn on that feature for you. It's already included. You just let us know if there's something you're not seeing, and we can make sure that that's available to you. But what I want to do today is work with you guys and be super interactive. I'm going to ask a lot of questions and go over some different ways that you can customize your workflow to see what you want to see within Followup. We have grown so much as a company, and I've been here almost 8 years. It'll be 8 years in November, which is wild to me. And what we were able to do, 7.5 years ago compared to today, I'm just so thankful that there's so many more things that we can do. So and Jerry, he's one of the OGs on the call. He knows what we were able to do before. But what's cool is in that entire process, Jerry is still using the system to do the exact same thing. He's estimating his projects and seeing what his closing ratio is and what his pipeline is. But there are some little things that can help us in our day-to-day workflow that I would like to go over and show you today. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open Followup. We're going to dig in here and we're going to go through some different things that are possible. So one of the things that's possible, if you look at your name here and you click on it, you have these options for a My Settings tab.
We're still seeing your Canva screen right now.
Oh, you know what? Okay, let me try this again. Thank you, Sarah.
Of course.
I'm just going to share my whole desktop. Okay.
Perfect. So, now we're in there.
Okay, great. So if we are at our name up here at the top and we come to the My Settings tab, we have this option to do a few different things. One, we can get email notifications, which are super helpful. I'm not an email notification type of person. I don't like them. Send me to the system. I would rather go in and see what I've got to do. But if you're someone that loves to get notifications, this is a great way to track that. If you want to get a notification for a new project that you've been added to, or I think the app mention is super helpful. It's just like social media. You could tag someone you're working with on a project comment, and then they get an email saying, hey, Sarah tagged you in a comment. They can click on it. It goes right to the project and shows them exactly what you said. So really, really helpful and a great way to do things. We also have the email connection, which email is just like tracking your emails back and forth. I'm not going to dig into that too much today, but we can send you help articles and stuff if you do not have access, if you haven't connected your email and that's something you want to take part in. Now, what I was getting to is up here at the top, we have a couple of things. One is default settings. So if you're on your dashboard and you want to see your pipeline and closing ratio, your bid volume and contract volume month over month in a specific way, you can set this up to be your default. My personal favorite is the last 365. It puts the most recent month on top and then flows down in sequential order to the like the longest to go month. So it would be May 2025 all the way to April of 2024, which show the last 365 days. And then depending on your role at the company, you might want to see the entire company or a specific office or just yourself or maybe your team of people. You can multi-select. So if you are in charge of like 4 different people in your company and you want to see those 4 people closing ratio in the pipeline for that division, you can do that. You could also select by a specific office. So if you're like, hey, I'm in the Texas office, I only want to see the closing ratio and pipeline for the Texas office, you could do that as well. You can make this your default. And then every time you go to your dashboard, that is what's going to show for you. You can do the same thing for the activity board. So sometimes these are things that people don't know about that I like to talk about because it really makes your experience of using the software nicer. Like here, I set up my defaults and now I have my last 365. I can see for the
I think
company.
we lost the connection with your screen. Will you share again?
Uh,
If
is
you
it,
can see Christine's screen, please put that in the chat. I'm not seeing it on my end right now. Is it working for you all? Okay, perfect. It's working for them.
oh, okay. I was like, is Zoom doing me wrong? What's going on
Nope,
here?
just me. Just me. It
Okay.
favors you. Keep going.
All right, great. So this is just a way that you can customize your workflow and see the information here that's important to you that you want to see. Now, a couple of other things that help us see the information that you want to see that you might not know about. So if we come here to the projects tab, the projects tab is where all of our projects live. You know, we like to say Followup tracks like 3 main data points, right? We're tracking projects, companies, and contacts. So here under the projects, we have this ability to do something called add a list. What I love about the add list feature is it gives you the opportunity to see the data that you want to see in a very specific way. You can save it, and then every time you want to see that data, you can just come back. So basically, when you hit the add list button or the advanced search button, they go to the same place. It's just a different way of looking at it, but it's the same exact information. So I can hit the add list button, and then I can determine what my filters are, what I want to see, and how I want to save that. So let's say I want to see everything that is in the pre-qualification status. And if I want to see more, I could divide it by like what was assigned to a specific person or myself, whatever I want to do, I can do that. Or I can just say, I want to see everything that's in pre-qualification. And then I can actually save the list. I'm going to call it pre-quals and save it. And now when I come here, you'll notice that I have a new list on my board. I can hit pre-quals and all of my pre-qualified opportunities will be right here for me. Now, I would imagine when you're looking at, let's say I'm looking at my awarded projects, what I see across the top on my awarded projects is going to be different than what I want to see on my pre-qualification list, right? For my pre-qualification list, I'm going to want to see bid dates. I'm going to want to see the project contact. I'm going to want to see if there's a base bid yet. So I can actually change my view according to the list that I have. So to do that, you're going to create your list first. So you'll go to the add list or the advanced search button, and you'll create your new list with the filters that you want to see. Once you've done that, you're going to select the list that you want to adjust. And then if you take your mouse across the top here, we have this settings wheel here. And the settings wheel has all of the fields that live in the project. And you can choose which ones you want to go across the top. So you have, I think, the ability to have 9 that go across the top. And the way this works is basically you press down on the one you want, and you can drag and drop in different directions. So whatever the first 9 are across the top is what's going to display. You could uncheck, but you're going to have to uncheck a lot of them because there are a lot of fields. So my advice would be to drag and drop what you want to see on this list. So for me, on a pre-qual list, I would want to see what the bid date was. So I'm going to scroll let's see here. I'm going to take the bid date. I'm going to take it up here, and maybe I don't need to see the ID, and maybe I want to see the bid date next to the sales status, and then I could hit save. Now I've arranged my list how I want to see it. And now you can see that the ID is no longer there. I have my project name, my sales status, and my bid date. So now and then some of these fields I can automatically fill in because you can edit in line on this page for several of the fields. So if I want to change the sales status, now if I change the sales status on this list to something else, oh, there's a required field here. Let's see here. I probably let me change it to something else. It is a live list. So once I hit refresh on this, it's going to remove off of my list and add to the other list. If I had a lead list, it would add to my lead list for me. So now that project is no longer on my pre-qual list because these are live lists. So it's a really great way to manage several different aspects of business all in one way. So like on your awarded list, you would probably want the contract amount, the contract date, and any follow-up items, or maybe a comment button if you had any additional comments that you wanted to add to this. So there's already a comment here where it shows you what the last comment was. But this is a very functional, easy way to see this information. Does anybody have any questions about creating lists or what they look like or things you can do with them? No? Okay, great. The other thing you can do, which is helpful on this list, is you can also export this information. So there are 19 opportunities here. There's actually 2 different things you could do here. One, I could say none of these are pre-qualified opportunities anymore. These are actually all something else. I need to come into Followup and clean up a lot of what's in here. Our team is behind, and we've actually already bid all of these opportunities. And let's say I want to update fields. I could come over here to these buttons here. Do you see this square here? I can select this and it'll select this entire list, but you see there's 19 records and there's 15 projects selected. If I want to select all, I'm just going to hit select all. It'll select all 19, and then I can update fields. I can assign them to a different person on my team. I could add a company or an activity. So if I want to assign an activity for all of these, say, hey, I want us to follow up on everything that's in pre-qual so we know what's real and what's not and get rid of whatever's not. You could automatically assign those dates and change all of that in a bulk function here, which is great. The other
that
thing
saves a lot of admin time, Christine. Yeah, that's really helpful. Yeah, and something that I was also thinking about that we hear a lot of positive feedback around is sales leaders having accountability, right? Being able to look through these, and like you just said, you can put an assignee on there.
Yeah, 100%. So you can do this not just on the list. This function works. I can hit clear view here. This function works on my project page as a whole. Generally, when you're bulk updating things, though, you're going to want to do an advanced search or a list to make your updates and changes, because it's not likely you want to update all 385 records in your system at the same time. Every once in a while, that might be the case, but in general, that's not going to be how you're going to use it. So you're likely going to create a list or do an advanced search. I personally like creating a list because then if I need to make more changes, I can go back and the list is already created for me and I don't have to do an advanced search again. And then when I'm done with the list, if I don't need it anymore, I can just delete it and get rid of it. So that is just like a little pro tip there for you. If you feel like you're going to have to search the information more than once, just create a list and then you're good. And when you don't need it anymore, you can delete the list.
That is sparking some questions in the chat, actually.
Okay,
The
great.
first one we got is, are these lists specific to the user?
They are. These are specific to a user. So if you are hiring new people on your team, or you have new people and you want them to have a specific list view, you will need to walk them through creating a new list view. I do know that we have something on our product roadmap where there will be an option to actually share this list with another person on your team. I don't know, I don't have a timeline on that right now, but I do know it's on the product roadmap of something that will be available in the future. If you're familiar with the calendar views, you do have the opportunity to make your selections on a calendar view and then share that calendar view with somebody else on your team. And I do know that we're working on making something like that possible here on the project page.
Right. And like you said, you can always export this, like download it and send it that way to somebody. Even if you're like, let's say, working with a remote team member and you need to talk them through, like, this is how it should look. Let me send you an example. And then
Mm-hmm.
the other question that we got is, how do you change the last update to default to a descending order instead of oldest date first?
Oldest date, you mean the last updated first? I don't understand.
You might have to open up the chat to see this one. How do you change the last update to default to a descending order instead of the oldest date first? Newest
Uh,
date first is what Beth is saying. Yes, thank you for that clarification.
it automatically does the newest date first. There is not a way to change that today. My dream for this would be that you would be able to automatically save the sort according to whichever column you wanted. So if you always wanted it to sort by the bid date, you could do that. So these are some enhancement requests that we have on our books. And do you know, the way that we build our product right now is as we hear things from you. So if you say, hey, this is what I really like Followup to do, is there any way that you can do that? You can actually come here to the help tab. The help tab is actually helpful. You can come to the help tab and you can hit suggest a feature. It'll take you to our feature board. You do have to log in. If you do not have a login for this, you just need to create one. It's not the same as your Followup login. This is a different platform, a different system that we use to manage this. So you just need to create your name and your password with your email, and then you can add things to this board. You can vote on what other people have posted. And then as things get put on here, as they get put on here multiple times, we review them every week. And then that is how we determine what we're building in our product. So can you change it to most recent project or first? Right now, the only way you could do that, it does not save the sort, but all of these fields across the top do sort. So if I want to see by last update, I can, but then every time I come to this page, I'm going to have to resort it for myself. It's not going to do. Now, let me check one thing right now. No, it refreshes every time you come to this page. So it's always going to sort on this page by the last update at this time. Do they mean using a little? Oh, okay, great. The other thing that I wanted to say about this page is, let's say I have my prequal list, and let's say I want to share that or bring it someplace or qualify the data in Excel or do something else with it, you can. So you can create like basically reports with this information. So I could say, hey, I've got all these columns. Now, if I only want to export specific columns, I can choose to do that. I'm going to click on the settings wheel. Everything that's checked off will export to my report. If you don't want to have a bunch of these things, you would just uncheck them. And then anything unchecked will not export to your report. And
I
then
know
you
I do that a lot. Yeah, if I'm trying to make sure that we're not overwhelmed by too much data and we're just focusing on specific things as a team, I will uncheck. And it also helps it like fit on your page a little easier. So I like that option.
Exactly. So anything that's unchecked will not export. And when you're exporting the report, you don't actually have to save that. All you have to do is uncheck what you don't want to see and then hit this square. There's a square here with an arrow that goes out, and then it'll tell you, hey, your report is being processed. You're going to refresh your screen. This is a little pro hack if you're running reports and you want information to see it before it gets to your email. If you refresh your browser screen, it'll refresh your orange bell here. You'll open your orange bell and then you can download your report. So this report will be what I just exported was all of my pre-qual list. So this is
That's
all
real insider. That's great. Yeah, because I've always just gone to my email.
you don't have to go to your email. So then it exported all the columns that I had selected, did not export the columns I did not have selected. So that is how you can see this information. You'd like me to do the export again? Sure. So if you make your selection of which list you want to export or do an advanced search, you can do this anywhere on the project page. You're going to come across the column bar at the top and you're going to select your columns. If you want to see everything, you're going to have everything selected. If you don't want to see everything, you're going to, however you want to see that. Then you're going to press this. It's like a box with an arrow that goes out the corner and it says export if you hover over it. So you're going to hit the export. It's going to say your report is being processed. It's going to go to your notifications. You're just going to hit refresh. And then you'll see the report will go right here to your bell, and then you can download your report. Now, please keep in mind, if you are this particular demo environment that I'm using only has 385 projects, but we have some teams that have 70,000 projects in their systems. So if you decide, hey, I'm gonna export 10,000 lines right now because I want to see 10, I don't put anything past anyone. Sometimes somebody wants to see all their information, right? If you're going to do 10,000, well, it's going to take a long time to come here to this belt because it's going to take a while to gather all the data and export it through the HTML. And sometimes the HTML can be tricky and might delay or skip. So I like to say, like, try and do like 1,000 or 5,000 at a time. Try not to hit that 10,000 mark so that you don't have.
I like the reminder to have patience even when dealing with technology, maybe especially when dealing with technology, because we all just want to snap our fingers and make it work like magic. And then, like you said, I always recommend, like, let's filter that down. Let's narrow the list. Like, if you've got this much information, it tends to be overwhelming and not actually helpful.
100%. Yes. Okay. What I want to go over next, we have a few other features that can help make things easy for you. You could also use this if we're on the projects page. You could also use this to maybe send emails to people. So let's say you have your leads, and I'm going to pull my leads list here, and I have 42 opportunities that are currently listed as a lead. And let's say I want to look at everything that's listed as a lead right now, and I want to email all of these people. I want to send them a little notification and let them know, hey, we got your opportunity. Thank you so much for submitting it. We're going to follow up with you shortly. I could come over here and select the 15, or I could hit select all to do all 42. And then I could hit this handy little button that says bulk email. So then I could hit bulk email, and I don't have any templates here, but you guys can save templates in this area. I could create a new template. And then from here, I have the ability to insert any fields that currently live in the project page. So I could do the contact. And then I could do project name. and then I could do the address if I wanted to. And so what it's going to do is it's going to auto-populate those fields based on what data lives inside the project. And then I could craft an email, send the email to all of these 42 people at the same time if I wanted to. So that's a really cool thing that you can do and something you might want to look into. I
Yeah,
think
and I like to think about this, Christine, as like it's both good for small businesses and big businesses because a small business, this makes you look more professional and kind of steps up your sales process, right? And also a big business, this can make you have a more personalized touch because you have the custom fields that you just put in there and it doesn't make people feel like they're just another number that's waiting to be pulled. So it's really good for both ends of the spectrum.
yes, wonderful. Okay, Isabel, we'll see you later. She'll watch the recording later. Okay. All right, I'm gonna close that out. So we can do bulk emailing to help. The other thing that you can do, which I find kind of handy, is maybe I don't want to send a bulk email, but I do want to follow up with a specific client several times. And I don't want to have to remember to follow up with them. Maybe they're in my pipeline and I've submitted a bid and I don't know when they're going to make a decision. So I could click into this opportunity and I could say, hey, I want a series of emails to go out to this client. I want a drip campaign to go out to the client because I want to follow up with them on a regular basis. What you could do here is you could compose an email here. And then instead of like just writing the email, you're going to come to this sequence tab. Under the sequence tab, I'm going to pick the contact that I want to send the email to. So this is going to be based on the companies and contacts that are saved on this project. In the company information, I could select the individual. And then I can do a new sequence. And then I can create from scratch, or I can use pre-made templates. So we have some templates in here just to make it really easy for you. So maybe I want to do a long-term follow-up sequence and I have a thank you email of, hey, let's book a meeting email. Hey, I want to check in with you. Hey, I haven't heard from you. I think we're breaking up email. And so then you could come and you could preview the email. You see that the template is here. You can add and edit your information. And then here you can choose how often you want these emails to go out. So I could say, I want this email to go out on day 30. And you can do days or weeks. So if I want it to go out in 2 weeks, I could choose to send the first email on day 0, the second email 10 days out, the next one 14 days out. You can choose what you want to do and send a series of emails. And then you can even go to the settings tab and choose like, hey, I only want them to be sent on business days and I want to unenroll if the contact replies to my email, which is so helpful, right? Because I think that's the thing we struggle with. We set up these automations and then I emailed someone directly the other day and they were like, is this AI? Is this a real email? And I was like, yes, I actually emailed you. You didn't read what I wrote to you. Are you AI? And so this just kind of like takes away that extra pressure of making sure you've checked everything twice. You can unenroll, and then you can also share this sequence. If you create a template, you can share it with your whole company so that other people can use it as well. But a super helpful tool if you're following up on projects and you want to make sure you're not losing track of what's happening with people, this is a great way to do that.
Yeah,
Sarah,
and you can even almost like test them in there, like try different sequences, see which one works best, and then that's the one you'd want to share, right? So that people aren't reinventing the wheel. What was that, Christine?
I was going to say, how much more time do we have today?
Well, we blocked off a whole hour. We
Oh,
don't,
okay. Okay,
yes,
great.
we blocked off a whole
Okay,
hour. And I know you've got some good things still up your sleeve. I
I
think
do.
you are definitely unveiling some things that people didn't know even existed. So we are on the
Great.
right track.
Okay, great. I was like, okay, so in line with this of like trying to get things done on a timeline or making sure that things get taken care of that you could try and automate within your system, we also have something called automations. So automations are basically saying, when this, and this are true or false, I want this, and this to happen. And so if you come to your name here, you see the menu and we have an automations tab. And this is where you can create automations. You can create automations just for yourself, or you can create automations that are available to your entire company. So if you want to share the automations with other people, then you need to create them under the company automations. If you're really just creating automations for yourself, you can come to the My Automations tab. On either one, you're going to come over here and hit the Create button. Now, if you're not seeing the Automations tab, either we need to turn it on for you, or it's an additional feature that we need to just talk through, like what the cost would be on something like this. We have a couple of different tiers on this automation area. So I can hit the Create button. I will say this, you know, when you go to the grocery store with a list, you come out with what you need. When you go to the grocery store without a list, I walk out with a bag of marshmallows.
When you're hungry, right?
Yeah, that might have happened in the last week. I walked out with a bag of marshmallows, and my 2.5-year-old calls them Bebos. And I had to get the Bebos. Okay, you guys. So I like to say, write a list of what you're hoping to automate, and then come to the builder and try and build it. Because if you're looking at all the triggers, I just feel like there's a lot more room for confusion. But if you have a list of like, this is what I want to do, it's a lot easier to come here and see. So we have a couple of different options here. You have event-based and you have time-based. So event-based is like when this thing happens, and time-based is the time that something would happen. So I am going to create an event-based automation. So I'm going to say when a project, this is something that people really like to know. When a project activity completed, so when an activity gets done, and I get to choose which activity it is, proposal delivered. Next, I want to update the project. This is really cool, you guys. I think even this one might even get Jerry excited. So what I'm doing right here is I say, hey, when the proposal delivered activity gets done, I want a follow-up to automatically be scheduled for 5 days later. So then that means your team didn't have to go in there and make sure that that follow-up date got assigned to the proposal they delivered, because best practice is everything that's in your pipeline should have a follow-up date. That is how you guys increase your closing ratios. If you guys are following up on everything that's in your pipeline, I guarantee you will increase your closing ratio. It's like a no-brainer. So this allows you to automatically schedule a follow-up date for everything that gets proposal delivered checked off on, and then you don't have to worry about it. And then it just goes to the activity board for every person on your team.
This is what we mean when we say work smarter, not harder, right?
Work smarter, not harder. So then I just need to come up here and I can say follow up post propose. Okay, and then we can hit save.
Okay,
So
we got
now,
a good question from Jerry actually in the chat. He's saying, is there an easy way to find any records in the pipeline without follow-up dates? So we know Christine's best practice is everything in the pipeline should have a follow-up date. How do we find the things that are slipping through the cracks? Is there a filter?
there's not a filter here. There's a report that will show us all of that information. Also, you could like do it on the project page as well, but it might get kind of overwhelming. My advice, well, there's two different ways you can see this information. So to Jerry's point, Jerry, you could come here to your project page and you could do an advanced search with everything that had a bid date. Like you could do everything that had a bid date from the last 365 days that was still in a pipeline sales status. And that's how you're going to see that. And then you would just have a list and you could save that list. And then my advice to you at that point would be on the list on the columns that go across the top, that you would include whatever the follow-up date is. So then if you needed to assign follow-up dates, you could bulk assign them and see what doesn't have a follow-up date yet. But as far as the report goes, if you come to the report tab and you run the bid proposal report, I call this, this report makes follow-up worth every single penny you have invested into follow-up. This is your report. Even if this was the only report we offered, it would pay off your follow-up every single time.
ROI in one click. There we go.
It is your complete ROI. So I'm going to do last 365. I'm going to do it for the company, and I'm going to do the bid proposal. So the bid proposal report is going to pull in everything with a bid date or a proposal delivered date within the time frame. So it may pull in lost or contracted opportunities as well, but I will show you how to filter that. It's super simple. We're going to hit get report. I run this as an Excel because I want to filter this information. A lot of the reports, I think they're awesome as PDFs. You don't need to change the information. This particular report, I find more helpful as a PDF. I'm sorry, as an Excel document. Okay, so this exported, let me make this a little bit bigger for you guys. So this exported our project information. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll over to column I. And then in my Excel, I'm going to come up here to the top and I'm going to filter. And then I'm going to take out everything I don't need to see. I don't need to see awarded, leads, prequals, blanks. I'm just going to clear that stuff out. And then I'm going to make it ascending for now. And then I'm going to see, oh, I left lost in there accidentally. There we go. All right, so I took out everything I don't want to see, and I'm left with this many opportunities. And now as I scroll over to the right, these are my follow-up dates. So ideally, obviously this is our test demo situation, but if I looked at a client's page, I would say, hey, you have about half of your follow-up dates here. That's great, but most of these follow-up dates are a year or 6 months old. I need you to come in here and update all of your follow-up dates, and whoever's assigned to these opportunities, I would bring this to your sales meeting and I would ask everyone, please take this list and go update all these opportunities. I want them all to have a current follow-up date for tomorrow or further in the future. And I want you to update all of the projects with what's going on right now, and go in the comments and make a comment letting me know what's going on here. And this is how you increase your closing ratio. You're going through your pipeline, seeing everything that you've got in there, and you're making sure you're following up on these opportunities. And in truth, yes, it's going to take them time to do this. And yes, they're going to be pulled away from maybe estimating an additional project. But as Jerry has always reminded me, estimating is an expensive process. It is so expensive to do that. And if you're not following up on what you've already worked so hard on, you're really just losing out. So this is an opportunity to go ahead and close the gap and close these opportunities that you have in your pipeline already.
And Christine, it's a cycle, right? It's like if they kind of feel this pain of like, oh, I got to fill the gap, then next time they're going to be more proactive and they're going to set up those follow-ups like you were just saying, so that things don't occur like this again. We're correcting the ship.
Right, 100%. With automations, it's very easy to make sure that you don't have any blanks in this report any further. And that what would probably happen is you would just have overdue follow-ups, but that's when you run the report, you bring it to your sales meeting and you say, hey team, this is important for our company. We've got to follow up on the opportunities that are in our pipeline, and then move forward from there.
Super practical. Love it.
Okay, great. So does anybody have any questions about the automations or have a different type of automation they might want to see? The other thing that I see people use automations for sometimes is when a project is awarded, they would say, when a project's awarded, I want to notify our accounting team that this project has been awarded. And maybe your accounting team doesn't use follow-up. You can now create an automation that sends to an external email that's not within follow-up, and you can automate that. So that's a super helpful practical thing that you could do when projects are awarded. You could email accounting and let them know, which is super helpful. And another thing people are doing is maybe, let's say the sales, you could do in a time-based. If the sales status doesn't get updated, meaning it doesn't get updated for 120 days. It's just stuck in the same sales status for 120 days. I want to send an email to the project account manager letting them know, hey, what's going on with this project? Could you go in here and make an update? So there are a lot of different things that you can do based on what your company's policies already are. So if you have policies in place and things you're trying to move forward, you can likely use automations to help keep people accountable and keep on top of things. Okay. I think I have tackled just about everything I was going in here to tackle.
That's great. Yes, I feel like we always aim to be practical, right? And we're very much in the feedback loop of like, what has Christine heard on calls recently that she thinks everybody should know about and benefit from? And then also is kind of like a peek behind the curtain. We don't want to gatekeep any of these good features that you could be using. Like she showed you earlier, I'm going to come back to this help button in the bottom right of the screen. Please like use the resources here. We're creating articles all the time to help you navigate the system. You've got chat. You've most of the time got our email addresses for direct contact as well. But if there are new things that you want to see, we've got a whole team working on those improvements as well.
So
Okay,
yeah,
any closing remarks?
our chat goes directly to a person on our team. It's not outsourced. We are managing your chat. So if you need anything, please let us know. We also have office hours. If you have additional questions and you want to show up for a 15-minute Zoom call, we will help you. And then we also, if you run into an issue like a bug, you can even submit a ticket.
That's right. So
So
we do these the third Thursday of every month. If you have more ideas of things you want to hear about, let us know. And we can put them in the idea list for webinars. And then I'll go ahead and pitch that Christine's team also does trainings. If you feel like maybe you've had turnover or there's just some kind of gap in your team as a whole and you want her to specifically cover a topic with your team, you can reach out and we can get that scheduled for you. Like I put in the chat earlier, this was recorded. I'm going to get it sent out to you tomorrow. It'll be an email from Zoom, and then we'll get it put on YouTube. We have a great resource library, a playlist of all of our past webinars on there as well. Thanks for joining us, Christine. You were wonderful, like always.
all right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.